Alright, step out of the car.
No, it's not my dad.
Step out of the car, bro. Step out of the car. Come on. Step out of the car.
Around 8 in the evening, surveillance video shows a man approaching the Coeur d'Alene Paracel booth with a child.
Immediately, the kid went around me and kind of hid behind me and stated, "I don't know that man and he's not my dad."
Stop, dude!
When they're young, most people are taught all about stranger danger and what you should do if you ever get approached by a strange person in public. You're taught not to trust strangers, to yell for help, and to run away if anyone you don't know ever tries to lead you away. But sometimes you can't truly realize how quick a kidnapping can happen until you see it happen firsthand. It only takes a second, and a lot of the time, it doesn't look like what you might expect. The following stories tell the tale of children escaping kidnappings or being rescued by the cops.
Put the kid down, dude! Put the kid down!
Body camera video allegedly shows a Florida man resisting arrest by holding a baby in front of himself to avoid being tased.
The man in that heart-stopping video is 27-year-old Brandon Leoner. This incident happened on September 27th in Flagler County, Florida, at a McDonald's drive-thru of all places. It's an incredibly loud and chaotic scene. Brandon is surrounded by officers who are shouting at him to put the baby down. Some of them have their weapons drawn, and one of the officers is handling a canine dog who looks ready to pounce as soon as he is given the command. Meanwhile, Brandon's back is against the McDonald's building while he grips the probably terrified child against his chest. So what exactly is going on here? Well, the baby in Brandon's arms, who is dressed only in a diaper, is actually he and his girlfriend's 1-year-old son, and he previously abducted the little boy, took him away from his mom, and then drove off with him. According to reports, Brandon's choice to abduct the child was completely out of nowhere. He had been at home with his girlfriend and baby, and things were supposedly normal. The girlfriend had ordered a pizza and had it delivered to the home. But as soon as the delivery driver showed up with the pizza, Brandon seemed to go into a complete panic. He reportedly became very afraid, but would not explain why. He picked up the baby and went outside with him while his girlfriend followed behind. Brandon continued exhibiting really weird behavior while his girlfriend tried to get him to give the baby back to her. Brandon refused and ended up getting into his own vehicle with the baby on his lap. That's when she quickly called 911 and told them that her baby had been taken hostage. This began a very harrowing ordeal as law enforcement fought to find and capture Brandon without causing the child to become injured in the process. We can only imagine the panic that everyone on the scene must have felt when Brandon held that little baby up in front of his face like a human shield. Brandon ignored the commands to put the baby down. While we can't hear what exactly he's saying over the sound of the sirens and shouting, Brandon argues with the cops and yells something back at them while continuing to hold the baby against his chest awkwardly.
Get hands, dude! Put the baby down! Put the kid down!
When Brandon abducted the little boy, he was allegedly armed with a deadly weapon. As far as law enforcement are concerned, he could still have that weapon with him, and that baby's life is in danger.
After driving recklessly through nearby medians, police caught up with Leoner near a McDonald's drive-thru.
Show me your hands, dude! Put the baby down!
Brandon refuses to follow the officer's commands and is eventually taken down with the taser. The baby can be heard screaming in the background.
Camera video shows Leoner refusing to hand over the child before he gets tased.
When Brandon is tased for the first time, the officers are able to grab the baby, but Brandon still resists arrest and ends up getting back on his feet and trying to run away from the officers. The baby, now in the arms of an officer, can be heard crying out for his dad while all of this is going on. Eventually, officers managed to finally take down and restrain Brandon. This time, he is not able to escape, and he is taken into custody. He was charged with kidnapping and 1 count of using a minor as a human shield. He was also charged with resisting violence, child endangerment, fleeing, and eluding or reckless driving. It's not clear whether a mental health crisis or the influence of a certain substance could have caused this bizarre behavior. Thankfully, the little boy was not harmed during this whole ordeal, and he was later returned to his mother. Most recent reports state that Brandon is being held without bail and will remain in custody while he waits for his trial.
Why are you doing with the kids? What's going on?
An alleged kidnapper caught on camera as Florida officers make a quick rescue of 2 young children.
This case takes place in Florida in 2022. The man behind the wheel of this vehicle that officers have just pulled over is 37-year-old Kevin Smith. He has just stolen a truck with 2 young children inside of it. Those 2 young kids are about to inform officers of what exactly is going on, and we get to see Kevin's reaction in real time when he realizes that he has just been caught.
All right, step out of the car.
That's not my dad.
Step out of the car, bro.
It happened on October 10th in Hillsborough County, Florida. Just before 7 o'clock that evening, Deputy Jonathan Pazmino Alvarez was flagged down by a distressed father.
The owner of the vehicle that Kevin stole is the father of the 2 children inside. When Kevin took off with the truck and his children, this panicked father desperately got the attention of a nearby officer and told him what had just happened. At the time that they pulled over this vehicle, law enforcement think that they have the person they are looking for. But when the young children in the back seat explain that Kevin is not his dad, it pretty much seals Kevin's fate as officers are quick to pull him out of the vehicle and get him into custody. As you can see, Kevin tries to resist arrest by refusing to get out of the truck. While this might have been an unimaginably terrifying situation for the father of 2 children, the kids seem impressively relaxed. One of them can be spotted sitting in the passenger seat of the vehicle, his arm resting on the dashboard. All the while, he is chatting away to law enforcement.
I know where my dad is.
I know where your dad is. I saw him running this way.
The man told the officer his children, ages 4 and 8, were taken when someone stole his truck. Just minutes later, Deputy Pazmino Alvarez got eyes on the vehicle.
Kevin may have thought he could have scared the 2 children into staying quiet when they were pulled over. Luckily though, the little boy did not hesitate to speak up clearly and firmly, letting law enforcement know that the man behind the wheel was not his father.
Stop the truck! Now! Pull into the parking lot!
When the truck pulled over, the deputy began asking questions.
Bro, I got called.
These not your car?
No, it's
Step
not
out of the car. Step out of the car, bro. Okay, step out of the car. Help me out here.
Despite the fact that the children in the passenger seat just gave him away, Kevin still seems to think he can talk his way out of this situation. He tells the officer that he's not the person they are looking for.
I cannot leave you. Give me the car keys.
The officer soon gets confirmation from the children's father that this is the man who kidnapped his children.
Is this?
Yeah.
All right, step out of the car.
That's not my dad.
Step out of the car, bro. Step out of the car. Step out of the car.
Kevin is pulled out of the vehicle and arrested. He was arrested with grand theft motor vehicle and 2 counts of felony kidnapping. Neither of the children were hurt during this entire ordeal, and they were able to reunite with their very relieved father just moments later. The sheriff of Hillsborough County, Florida, later recognized the quick efforts of Deputy Pazmino Alvarez, who worked quickly to make sure these 2 young children were returned to their family.
Quick thinking between employees led to a heroic child rescue. Right here on these stairs, a man grabbed a 10-year-old boy out of the water, luring him under the pretense of being the mother's fiance. But 2 employees at Coeur d'Alene Paracel didn't think it was right.
This next incident happened in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, in August of 2021. A 10-year-old boy was walking around a dock area overlooking a lake when a stranger with bad intentions targeted him. This is the kind of incident that could have easily ended extremely tragically had it not been for some observant employees working nearby who noticed that something wasn't right and weren't afraid to intervene for the young boy. But we also can't forget to acknowledge the brave young boy who knew what to do in this scary situation and asked for help immediately. In this next clip, you'll see the man walking alongside the young boy. The boy seems calm enough. At first glance, many people may not have noticed that anything was off.
Around 8 in the evening, surveillance video shows a man approaching the Coeur d'Alene Paracel booth with a child.
Immediately, the kid went around me and kind of hid behind me and stated, "I don't know that man and he's not my dad."
That was all the employee needed to hear to realize that he needed to call law enforcement immediately.
They say the man insisted he was the boy's father, but Paracel owner Jamin Rodriguez sensed something was wrong. After moving the child out of the way and questioning the man, he told Rodriguez he would, quote, "get the boy's mom." Rodriguez discreetly called the police.
One incredibly disturbing aspect of this story is how clearly determined this creep was. He already knew that people were suspicious of him. He could have used that opportunity to run off before law enforcement were called, but instead he continued to insist that he knew this child. In this next clip taken from security footage, you can see the employees standing with the child outside of the Paracel stand. Owner of the stand, Jamin Rodriguez, has positioned himself in between the child and the strange man. Jamin already knows that this person is bad news and is on high alert.
Then he started heading back down the dock, and I'm like, Riley, you stay with the kid, find his mom. I'm gonna go follow this guy because we can't let him go. If we let him go, he could be gone forever.
Rodriguez has kids of his own and felt the danger of the child who was now hiding behind him. He followed the man for 15 minutes around the lake, updating dispatch on his every step, much to the man's dismay.
This wannabe kidnapper, likely aware that people were now onto him, was trying to put as much distance as he could between himself and that Paracel stand where the boy was still waiting. This man probably thought he would just be able to blend in with the rest of the crowd on the dock and that nobody would bother to come after him. But Jamin was not about to let this guy get away after what he just attempted to do.
Like, stop following me, leave and go back to your booth. And I was like, no. He's just like a main actor in like a horror movie, like that kind of creepy oddness.
Even though the boy had only been on his own for a short period of time, this just goes to show how little time it actually takes for a possible abduction to happen.
He goes, "She's right there, can we run?" And so we both started to run to her. He was crying, super sad.
The boy's mother says everything feels surreal, but she's so grateful for the help of the men.
The most important thing to take from this story is people are just more aware of the fact that this stuff could happen in our little town of Coeur d'Alene.
So you're probably wondering, who was this man who clearly had sick intentions when it came to following this little boy? Well, luckily he was identified and arrested.
When police arrived, the suspect John Marshall Randolph was booked into the Kootenai County Jail for 1 count of child enticement. Randolph has already been bonded out, but the boy's mother and the employees say they are moving further in the legal process so that this suspect stays off the streets and away from children.
Most people would probably agree that anyone who goes around trying to abduct children should not have the option to just bond out of jail. Even more disturbing, this man apparently has a history of mental health problems and has done creepy things like this before.
Begin tonight with an update on a shocking and scary situation you saw first here on KHQ. Good evening, I'm Stephanie Vigil.
And I'm Sean Owsley. Good afternoon, glad you're with us. The child enticement case on Lake Coeur d'Alene. Court documents show John Marshall Randolph Jr. has been in and out of psych wards and has threatened multiple people in the past.
If this man is a known danger to society, why was he allowed to be walking around in a place like this, packed full of kids? If this is a question that you're asking yourself, you'll probably be even more shocked to hear about what happened next. Even after being charged with child enticement, he was released just a short time later. Following the incident, the local news spoke with someone who knew John Randolph Jr. personally.
The person was completely shocked by the child enticement charges and said that he had struggled with mental illness in the past, but never thought that it would come to this.
This person, who asked us to conceal her identity, has known John Randolph for years. She told us that over the years, Randolph has threatened her and her family and said she feels unsafe around him.
This person close to John says it's only a matter of time before he strikes again.
Bomb, you don't know when this is going to happen again, when he's going to relapse.
She says Randolph's mental state has been deteriorating, but when he takes his medication, he's able to hold it together.
When he's on the medication, he's He's still a little off, but he is able to function and make rational decisions.
She painted a pretty concerned picture of what this man is like when he is off his meds.
He's off his medication.
He does really crazy stuff, like he thinks people are after him.
Court documents filed in 2020 show Randolph had a concussion in late February of 2018, and that's when those close to him saw a change in his behavior. Docs say he started to believe that he was a soldier of God. And when the pandemic began, documents say that really affected his mental illness.
Months before this whole incident involving the little boy, John apparently went through some sort of mental breakdown and began telling people that he believed the world was coming to an end. On one particular day, he sent out a series of alarming text messages that caused some people close to him to call 911 and request for an emergency mental health check to be done on him. When paramedics arrived at his home, they found him wearing a gas mask and holding a firearm in his lap. Clearly, this is someone in need of a lot of mental health help for the safety of those around him. There is no telling what he would have done to the boy if he had lured him away. So the big question is, where is he now? According to the most recent reports, the child enticement charge against him was supposedly dropped, and he instead pleaded guilty only to disturbing the peace. He paid a $1,000 fine and spent just one day behind bars. Shocking, right? But that's not all. John does have a public X Twitter profile and claims to be a lawyer who works out of Spokane, Washington. But is it possible that he could have gotten all the help he needs? Or do you think he could be still a danger to other vulnerable people? Let us know what you think in the comments below.
Now to the quick-thinking 11-year-old who escaped an attempted kidnapping while she was on her way to school. The incident in Arizona was caught on camera. Kana Whitworth joined us with that. Good morning, Kana.
Michael, good morning. Authorities now praising that 11-year-old for not only escaping, but for immediately giving a description to police who found security camera video of the harrowing ordeal. And this morning, police say this is a cautionary tale to all parents.
It's any parent's biggest fear, their child being targeted by an attempted kidnapper. All it takes is a second, and it can happen anywhere at any time. But in this jaw-dropping story from Arizona, the attempted kidnapper did not anticipate just how well prepared their would-be victim was. In this video, you can see the attempted kidnapper approach the little girl while wearing a black jacket with a hood pulled over his head.
A parent's worst nightmare caught on camera. Watch as this car, making a sharp U-turn, pulls up near an 11-year-old girl casually walking to school. Seconds later, the driver darting out of the car, attempting to grab the 5th grader as she sprints away screaming for help.
At that moment, this male jumped out and started running towards her with his arms extended towards her as if trying to grab her, which caused her obviously to flee.
This child did absolutely everything that she was supposed to do. As soon as she realized what had happened, she yelled, she ran, and she immediately went to go find help. But not only that, she had already made a mental note of the suspect so she could alert law enforcement and give them the best possible chance at finding this man. But just wait until the attempted kidnapper is identified and his background is revealed.
Incident happening Friday in Glendale, Arizona. Thanks to the video and the girl's description, authorities identifying the suspect as 37-year-old Joseph Leroy Ruiz, who they say lives just feet away in the same apartment complex as the victim. Ruiz has a history of violence, including attempted first-degree murder and aggravated assault for stabbing his own mother back in 2013.
Yes, you heard this right. This man attempted to murder his own mother. We can only imagine what he would have done to this little girl had he managed to catch her.
He's under arrest and facing charges for attempted kidnapping and custodial interference. According to court documents, the girl first spotted Ruiz outside her home, giving her an odd look. She then ran towards the school, where police say Ruiz parked his car, got out, and lunged at her.
Law enforcement have praised this young girl for doing everything right in what surely must have been a very frightening experience for her.
We just want to praise her and congratulate her for doing such a good job in protecting her own life. She was aware of everything that was going on around her and observed that the male was, actively trying to grab her.
Law enforcement says that parents should view this kidnapping attempt as a reminder of why it is so important to prepare your children for what to do if they ever find themselves in an experience like this. If this little girl hadn't known exactly what to do, this story would have likely had a very different ending.
Ruiz is held on $250,000 bond. Authorities say this is a good reminder to parents to let your kids know it's okay to run away and scream if they feel uncomfortable, to use code words, and generally be aware of surroundings even before your child leaves the home. Remember, predators can live online.
This incident happened in early 2024, and Ruiz remains behind bars where he will likely stay until he faces trial.
We begin with dramatic police body cam footage of a suspected child kidnapper being arrested. And when it's discovered the precious little girl he allegedly snatched was safe and sound, her first words will break your heart.
In this heartbreaking story from Louisville, Kentucky, a 6-year-old kidnapping victim can be heard screaming out for her dad moments after her dramatic rescue.
Open the passenger door! Pure drama as a suspected child kidnapper is taken into custody.
Hello. It's okay. Come here.
And there she is, the 6-year-old girl. What follows is a cry that would break any parent's heart.
Though terrified and traumatized, that little girl was physically okay, and officers quickly reunite her with her dad soon after this. After the kidnapping, she was actually located in just about 10 minutes. But how did this happen? And how were officers able to find her so quickly? It was thanks to a joint effort by a team of people.
There started when the little girl was riding her bicycle outside her home in Louisville, Kentucky. Out of nowhere, cops say the suspect pulled up, grabbed the girl, threw her into his car, and drove off. Luckily, a neighbor got a partial license plate and called 911.
This is a 911 call from that quick-acting neighbor.
Just grab the little girl. What color type of vehicle were they in? Red Challenger.
Neighbors who witnessed the crime called 911. One even followed the car, providing a partial tag to police.
The information they were able to provide about the suspect is what likely helped save this little girl's life.
The vehicle was a red Challenger, occupied by a white male with dark hair. Victim's a 6-year-old white female.
An entire division of the Louisville Police Department went on the hunt. 13 police cars. And in just 10 minutes,
Put your hands in the air. Stay right there. Stay right there.
they found the suspect's car and closed in.
Get on your knees. Stay on the ground.
But where was the girl? What will they find when they open that car door?
Hello. It's okay.
The child is safe in the front seat. That's when she makes that plaintive cry.
The officers who were on scene during that moment recalled the relief they felt the moment they got to the girl and saw she was unharmed. Even in her distress, the little girl knew that they were there to rescue her, and she reached out to them willingly.
She put her arms around my neck and, she was glad that we were there.
Officer Jason Burba and Sergeant Joe Keeling were first on the scene.
What was it like for you to walk up to that car and hear what that little girl said?
It was heartbreaking to hear her ask for her father when, we're both fathers ourselves. Kind of imagine our own children in that situation and how we would want a police officer to react.
This is Robbie Wilt, and he is the man who tried to take this little girl away from her family forever. He was charged with kidnapping and held on a $1 million bond. He ended up being given a plea deal that many felt he did not deserve.
Wilt accepted a plea in the case and was sentenced to 13 years in prison. WLKY's Lauren Adams was in the courtroom as the girl's family had the chance to address Wilt.
We're on the record in the matter of Commonwealth versus Robbie Wilt.
This is the man who admitted to kidnapping a 6-year-old girl from the front yard of her Valley Station home in the summer of 2021.
The family members of the little girl who was kidnapped were in court to face Robbie in person and to see justice served for the person who traumatized their family and made their own front yard no longer feel safe.
When I got the call on July the 2nd, 2021, that
At Friday's sentencing, the girl's mother was too emotional to read a statement she had prepared addressing Robbie Wilt in court. Wilt, who took a 13-year plea deal, later apologized to her and the family.
I'm very sorry for all that I've done, and I can't describe how sorry I am, and it's the best I can do.
But for this family, this apology is too little too late, and it is not going to reverse the damage that this whole traumatic experience had on this little girl.
The victim's mother says those words are simply that, and she says she can't accept Wilt's apology. She is relieved to know he will be behind bars for the next 13 years, because up until this point, she told the court, it's been nearly impossible to move on.
She doesn't believe that he had intentions of bringing her child back.
In the statement read by her lawyer, she said her little girl is still afraid of almost everyone and doesn't even go to the grocery store.
The mother of the little girl acknowledged that if law enforcement hadn't been able to find this man before he tried to get out of town, there is no telling what could have happened. She may never have seen her daughter again.
Mother believes if not for the actions of neighbors and police, Wilt would have carried out a much more sinister plan.
This time, Mr. Wilt, you will be remanded into the custody of the Department of Corrections.
Do you think that 13 years behind bars is enough time for someone who literally plucked up a child out of her own yard and stole her? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.